Emmerdale's Cain Dingle receives a tough warning from his granddaughter Sarah Sugden next week as he starts to lash out at family, friends, and foes in the village. Cain is seeking an outlet for his anger after a difficult few weeks, but Sarah is dismayed by his handling of the situation. The drama plays out after Cain visits his wife Moira in prison. He initially intends to tell her the truth about his prostate cancer diagnosis, but ultimately backs out and continues to keep her in the dark. Returning home in a foul mood, a frustrated Cain is incandescent to find his family's nemesis, Joe Tate, waiting at Butler's farm, practically accusing him of breaking in as part of his sly quest to acquire the farm. Cain goes to grab the Tate tycoon and has to be stopped from punching him by Matty Barton, who explains that he let Joe in the house. Theirs. More misery in store for Cain when the remorseful Ruby Milligan then admits that she was the one who called the police about Anya's corpse, unwittingly setting off the chilling chain of events that led to Moira's arrest. This news really doesn't go down well with Cain, our Emmerdale source explains. As far as he's concerned, Ruby inadvertently made things worse for Moira by involving the police without telling anyone. He reckons Caleb only got his top lawyer involved out of guilt. Cain is boiling with rage by this point, and casts his brother and sister-in-law out of his life. Sarah implores her granddad to stop alienating everyone when they're just trying to help, and to inform the family about his cancer diagnosis, so they all know what he's dealing with. Will Cain listen? Or is his behavior about to spiral further out of control? It's going to be a heartbreaking and a difficult watch at times, Katie Hill, who plays Sarah, recently told us while chatting about Cain's storyline. But because cancer is so prevalent in so many people's lives, it's an important story to tell. And as we know, Jeff Hordley, who plays Cain, is such an incredible actor, and getting to see him play out the story, it'll be heartbreaking, but I know that it's going to be an incredible performance. The sun was setting over the village of Emmerdale, casting long, slanting shadows over Butler's farm. Inside, Cain Dingle was a storm waiting to break. The past few weeks had left him frayed, raw, and searching for an outlet for the anger that gnawed at him from the inside. Visiting Moira in prison had been more draining than he expected. Cain had walked in intending to bear the truth about his prostate cancer diagnosis, to finally share the weight he had been carrying alone. Yet, as he looked at her behind the glass, seeing the worry etched in her eyes, the words caught in his throat. How could he explain something so terrifying without frightening her even more? In the end, he had stayed silent. Moira left the visit unaware of the secret that threatened to undermine everything she had built with him. Cain's silence was a shield, but also a dagger he turned against himself. Returning to Butler's farm, the tension inside him simmered. He slammed the door behind him, the echo bouncing across the walls like a warning shot. His eyes immediately caught sight of someone he wasn't expecting. Joe Tate, the man whose presence in the village never failed to make Cain's blood boil. "What the hell are you doing here?" Cain growled, his fists tightening at his sides. Every nerve in his body screamed at him to strike. His anger had been bottled for too long, and now it threatened to spill. "Trying to sneak your way into my house, as part of your little game to take the farm?" Matty Barton, quick to notice the tension, stepped forward. "Grandad, wait, he's not breaking in. I let him in." Cain's eyes flicked to Matty, and for a moment the world narrowed to the edge of his fury. But Matty's calm tone, the subtle reason behind his words, held Cain back from crossing a line he would later regret. Still, his pulse raced, and every word from Joe felt like a provocation. Before Cain could act, another confession landed, heavier than any punch. Ruby Milligan had admitted she was the one who called the police about Anya's corpse. Her actions, though unintentional, had set in motion the chain of events that ultimately led to Moira's imprisonment. Cain's jaw tightened, and his chest heaved with rage. Ruby's remorse only made it worse. "As far as I'm concerned," he muttered through gritted teeth, "she made everything worse. She didn't just involve the police. She dragged everyone into this mess." Even Caleb's involvement, apparently motivated by guilt, seemed to mock him. Cain felt betrayed, surrounded by family and friends who had tried to help yet had only exacerbated his situation. In a moment of uncontrolled emotion, he cut ties, casting his brother and sister-in-law out of his life. He felt alone, cornered, and misunderstood. Through it all, Sarah Sugden watched him, heart heavy with concern. She had grown up seeing her grandfather's temper, yes, but now it felt dangerous, destructive even. "Grandad, you can't keep alienating everyone who's trying to help you," she implored. "They're not your enemies, and they need to know what you're dealing with, your cancer. You can't face this alone." Her words fell like a lifeline across the chasm of Cain's fury. For a moment he froze. He wanted to push them all away, to bear the burden alone, to rage against the unfairness of it all. But somewhere in the midst of the storm, Sarah's voice found him, reminding him of family, of loyalty, of love. Yet the question lingered. Would he listen? Could Cain let down his guard, even for a moment, to let others in? Or was the spiral of anger, grief, and fear too strong to halt? The dynamics at Butler's farm were tense. Moira's absence left a void. Joe Tate's scheming lingered like a dark cloud, and Ruby's guilt created unease at every turn. Cain's internal battle mirrored the external chaos. His anger wasn't just about recent events. It was the accumulation of loss, fear, and the creeping shadow of his diagnosis. The village watched from afar. They saw the man they knew as Cain Dingle. The fierce, unyielding protector, the man who never backed down. But the cracks were now visible. Moments of vulnerability, the occasional softness around his granddaughter Sarah, the silent struggle behind his eyes. All spoke to the human beneath the rage. Katie Hill, who portrays Sarah, described the emotional intensity of these scenes. "It's heartbreaking," she said. "Cancer is such a prevalent story in real life, and showing how it impacts a family, especially someone like Cain, who's not used to showing weakness, is important. He's an incredible character, and Jeff Hordley brings so much depth to it. Watching him navigate anger, fear, and love is going to be powerful." Even in his fury, Cain's love for his family shone through, buried beneath layers of pride and grief. Every confrontation, every argument, every slammed door was rooted not just in rage but in fear. Fear of loss, fear of helplessness, fear of mortality. The week ahead promised further tension. Sarah's pleas might be the only chance to break through to Cain before he isolates himself completely. The family must navigate the minefield of Cain's anger, Ruby's remorse, Moira's imprisonment, and Joe Tate's schemes, all while grappling with the hidden truth of Cain's health. The emotional resonance of this storyline lies in its universality. Rage, grief, fear, and the instinct to protect those we love, even at the cost of our own well-being, are experiences many can relate to. Cain's struggle humanizes him, transforming the fearsome village figure into someone whose pain is palpable, whose anger is understandable, and whose moments of vulnerability are profoundly moving. In the coming episodes, viewers can expect explosive confrontations, heartfelt pleas, and the slow unraveling of a man battling not just external threats, but an internal storm. Will Cain finally confide in Moira? Will he allow his family to help him bear the weight of his diagnosis? Or will his isolation drive him further into conflict, risking everything he holds dear? One thing is certain. Cain Dingle's journey this week is a masterclass in emotional storytelling, blending high-stakes drama with intimate human moments. As the village of Emmerdale braces for the fallout, viewers will witness a character pushed to the edge, a family grappling with secrets, and the enduring power of love and loyalty. Even in the face of anger and fear, by the end, whether Cain breaks down or breaks through, the impact will resonate, not just in the village, but in the hearts of those watching. Because this is more than soap opera drama. It's a story of family, fear, and the courage it takes to confront both life and oneself.